I forget what movie it was, but it postulated the idea of making humans glow in the dark. It might have been like Flubber or something. No, it wasn't Flubber, but it was like something from the 80s or something like that about weird sciencey stuff. And there was a guy who invented something that would make people glow in the dark if they drank it. And he was like, we should give this to construction workers because then they'll fucking glow in the dark and people can see them. And I was like, that's not a bad idea. But then my mind jumped to, what if they, they had one of those like fucking, communist utopia in quotes places where they genetically design people for different jobs, and so they designed all the construction workers to glow in the dark.
That's what that sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh, these people put off a glow. Why? So they can work at night. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
It is their destiny.
Do you pay them more? No, they're freaks. Oh, okay.
Either that or they'd be great for like strip clubs. I would totally be down with a glowing woman. That'd be fucking cool.
I've always had a thing about blue.
I'm sure you could get them in blue, man.
But I would be worried about if it would probably be in the nervous system. And like, veins, or like your veins or some shit. Like, it may just be in your epidermis. Fuck if I know. But
have you seen the glowing mice before? Because that's like,
oh, yeah.
their whole, like, their skin and their hair is bioluminescent. Like, it fucking glows. So, yeah, no, it's like they would just straight up glow. Like,
well,
their
yeah,
skin
but it's
would
like
glow.
the ears and their feet. But what I'd be worried about is if, like, where there's more concentrated everything, so like extra glowy nipples would be weird, but I'd be worried about like extra glowy vagina lips.
I mean, I'm gonna make a guess and say that probably wouldn't happen, just because of the fact that, like, if anything, it might be less glowy because your skin is thinner there, I'm pretty sure.
But could you imagine like a glowing green vagina, like, warning, warning, biohazardous.
Penetrate at your own risk.
Oh my fucking god, dude, what are you doing to me? I know that they started putting it in tobacco plants in, like, obviously only some areas, because they wanted to make it so like people could do the crops at night, which makes sense from a business point, fucking point of view. But like, I mean, I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, so it doesn't fucking matter. But it just sounds really awkward if, like, you're smoking a glowing cigarette.
Yeah, that does sound weird.
Like, I don't know anyone who would smoke a glowing cigarette.
It does sound very strange.
Especially, like, what if a glowing person was smoking a glowing cigarette?
Just make fucking everything glow.
Yes! Make the world into a rave. My god.
But would we all be different colors? Would there be some people who glowed green, some people who glowed blue, some people who glowed red, maybe pink?
Also, I know it's like completely incorrect, but like the past tense of words, like glowed, sounds so grammatically incorrect to me, and I know it's the right word. I've had to look it up, especially when I was a kid, but it just sounds like oh man, that glowed pretty well. Like, it sounds like it should be, oh man, that glue pretty well, but it sounds so stupid at the same time.
Yeah, they both sound wrong.
Like
Actually,
hanged. He hanged himself. Like, wouldn't it be he hung himself?
isn't it hung?
No, I said it once and I was corrected by an English teacher. And like, I don't know why we were talking
Oh
about
wait,
hanging.
that's right. Because if something is hung, it's or if you're talking about the actual like the execution style hanging, yeah, it's actually hanged. I remember that. It's
it's
only
so
hung if you're
weird.
talking about like hanging a lamp. You could say you hung a lamp,
See,
but
and
that's
that
because you're
makes
not.
no sense to me.
Well, because I mean, it technically is. It is a different thing, you know.
Oh yeah, but I don't know. Like, considering the fact that in English, like, we have a lot of words that mean the same, well, are spelled the same, mean different things. It just seems like that would be another one of them.
Yeah. You know what one got me? I actually got into like an argument with one of my friends about this because she said casted, like for a movie. She was like, oh, they casted, you know, Shia LaBeouf or whoever, doesn't matter. And I was like, you mean the cast? And she's like, no, casted. And I'm like, no, cast. And we looked it up, and technically both are correct. And I was like, that's a load of bullshit. Casted sounds so dumb.
No, I don't accept this.
I don't. Casted sounds so plebeian. Doesn't it
Fucking
sound weird? Like
commoners.
casted? It sounds like it should be cast.
Isn't it casted away if, like, when you're fishing? Or is it to cast your line?
No, you just cast your line. Well, because that's present tense too.
So if you were talking about a fishing story that already happened, would it be you casted your line?
No, you cast your line.
Oh my god. I've always wanted to, like, move to an Asian country and just teach
Oh,
English.
hang on one second, Sonic.
Okay. Do 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 do. Your call means a lot to us. Do 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 do. But oh my god. Oh my god. Ah. Ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da ba 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 da ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da hit the ball.
Okay, sorry about that. It was the dude that was here working on stuff. He's like our family friend, but he didn't have any gas in his truck, and he forgot his wallet at home. So he's like, "Can I have a 5?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
That
Are you good? Oh, there you
I'm
are.
just kind of
What's up?
confused because, you know, nothing against him personally. Just it's an odd situation because, you know, professionally, why the fuck wouldn't you have your wallet on you? And how do you not have
Well,
gas?
because yeah, no, I agree, but like, but that's not the kind of situation it is. Because in this case, all that's going down is he's actually my ex's dad. That's how we know him, but he rents out our other house from us. So like,
You have
but
two
the thing
Mexican
is
porn houses?
that, no, the other one isn't a Mexican porn house. It's just a house.
Fair enough.
But yeah, he rents out the other one. But the thing is that we rent it to him real cheap, like for a house. But even then, he doesn't have like a steady job. He just does odd jobs. So he doesn't always have rent for us. So one of the ways that he pays for the stuff is he's a really good handyman. So he comes over here and he just like does work around the place.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So it it actually works out pretty well for both of us because he doesn't always have steady rent. And then also we need shit fixed up around this place a lot. So it works out pretty well.
Maybe if you didn't party so hard, Captain.
I do no partying.
With all your glowing friends. Captain, are you kidding me? Like, you're always going out with friends. You tend to go out, like, away for the weekend more often than anyone I know.
Okay, to be fair though, like I don't actually usually like it's not like I'm going out to like fancy places or anything. Like if I'm going out, we usually just like hang out and play video games or like watch movies and shit, or like.
But you go to
fucking, like I go
dinner and lunch with friends a lot.
Okay, but we do, or I do. But the thing is that again, too, keep in mind, we usually are going to like Taco Bell or McDonald's or something. It's not like we're going.
Oh, okay.
Like to restaurants. We go to fast food places a lot.
Not gonna lie, every time you're like, I'm going to dinner with friends, I'm always thinking like Olive Garden.
Oh no, yeah.
I can't think of
like...
another fancy place apparently.
Rock Lobster. Yeah, no, like the fanciest place I go to is like Red Robin, which is nice actually. I like Red Robin, but it's
nice
not
family restaurant. They got big ass fries.
Oh yeah, dude, and as much as you can fucking eat.
Wait, what?
If you order a burger, it comes with infinite fries.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
You get them big old fat steak fries. Awesome.
That's what they call them.
Yeah, that's steak cut fries, and in the UK they call them chips because they don't know how words work.
Which I think is funny because, you know, like I understand different terminology for different countries, but potato chip. Like, did not the potato... Well, I don't know how old the potato chip is. And I guess
potato chips?
If we originated from Europe...
Potato chips do not come from Europe, actually.
No, I was thinking... Because, like, the potato chip would be old, but we came from Europe.
Oh.
So, like... And I would imagine that fish and chips is an old-ass thing.
It might just be, like, the same word. I think that what they actually used to call them crisps. Or like, well...
No,
I guess
crisps
they
are
call
potato
them
chips.
Yeah,
Well,
in, like, Europe they call them crisps, I know.
Which I'm okay with that term. Because they are crispy.
Yeah, it makes
Crisps.
sense. Yeah. I forget, but I actually recently... The funny thing is... it's really funny, actually, the way I learned about the potato chips in that. As well as some other things. I don't know if you've heard that, like potato chips are one of the things that, like, people are like, black people invented those. If it wasn't for black people, you white people wouldn't have potato chips.
I've heard about that with peanut butter, and also heard that's not true.
That's correct. It is not true. And it also isn't true about the chips.
I think people just try to say that black people invented stuff so, like, white people don't feel bad. But then it's just, like, it ends up being bullshit, so it's like, okay, now
I don't think it's that, though. I think it's them trying to be like, look how important we were to history and stuff. Which, I mean, like, not that I'm trying to be like, you weren't important to history, because obviously, like, everybody is important to history in some way or another. But I'm like, if you're going to try and be like, look, Whitey, look how important we are, and how fucking sucky you are.
Look, Whitey.
Pick something actually good. Or, like, I don't know if you've heard, another one I heard was the pacemaker. People are like,
yeah,
oh yeah, black dude invented the pacemaker. Not true. It was actually like a white dude in like, I forget where he was from, but it was somewhere in like Northern Europe, like Sweden or something. And he invented the first thing, close enough to be called like a pacemaker. And later a black guy refined it and made it a little better, but he did not invent it. So that was like another. But anyway, yeah, this was the way I learned about the potato chips. With that was because there's this guy that he was debunking a video that was like, lol, look at how many things black people are responsible for. You don't get any of this, you cultural appropriating faggots. And
Jesus.
What's kind of how their attitude is about it, Like, I'm sure have you heard of, like, cultural appropriation and all that bullshit?
I have not.
Really? Okay. Are you ready to get mad at a whole new PC bullshit thing? Because cultural appropriation is the most bullshit thing ever.
It just sounds horrible already.
Are you ready for this? Because there's no going back. All right, so cultural appropriation is the concept come up by people, came up with by people that basically is if one culture utilizes another culture's, well, culture aspects of it, that they should not be allowed to because they're doing so without license of the culture that it originated from, which makes no fucking sense because the term appropriation refers to like an individual, like it refers to like utilizing something that belongs to an individual that individual can either grant or deny access to. So a culture cannot give approval for another group to use their culture, nor can they deny it.
Wait,
like
so
that's just not...
Like we would need Mexico's permission to use the taco?
Yes. Or like the sombrero, or fucking like,
So if
fucking
they say
anything,
no,
really.
we literally just couldn't make them in America?
Well, no. That's the thing, though, is that they're saying that it doesn't matter because the idea too is that like you're benefiting from the fucking inventions of another culture or whatever, or like you're profiting by stealing another culture's ideas and their whatevers, and it's just fucking bullshit. That actually, it's funny that you use the taco thing because you're not too far off. Apparently in Portland, of course it was fucking Portland. There was a burrito shop that was forcibly closed by the populace. Like people protested and would stop people from going to this burrito place because they found out that the founders went to Mexico and like went around to different like street vendors that made the burritos, and they'd eat the burritos and find the best ones and be like, hey, how do you make your burritos? And they were like, this is how we make the burritos. And so they took that knowledge and came back and made bomb-ass burritos because, they learned from the place where burritos came from. And then the people there were like, that's cultural appropriation. You can't do that because you're white. You're not Mexican. You can't use their culture to make money.
See, the only thing I would argue is the fact of, like, you're kind of stealing someone's recipe, but at the same time, like, you will never do it the same because they could give you the recipe. You could fuck it up. Like, my friend makes bomb-ass egg burrito thingies for, like, and I've tried to copy it. I could make a damn good egg burrito thing. But he just does it better. Like, no matter, I use the same shit. I cook it the same way, but there's like something he does that I don't.
Which, and that's a good point too, because the thing is though, is that even then, you can't copyright too general of a concept. So like, I'm sure you heard about the guy that tried to patent the sandwich like back in the day.
I actually do remember that.
Yeah, and they were like, you can't fucking patent a sandwich, you dumb shit. Like, that's the same sort of thing. So, like, in this same kind of thing, it's like, okay, so a culture invented a thing. They came up with whatever food item. But, like, so many goddamn things are shared amongst cultures that you cannot say that any culture has, like, exclusive license to different aspects of it. Now, I would target things like the people who wear Native American headdresses and things like that are meant to be like symbolic and, sensitive sort of things. I would call them out for being insensitive and being like, hey, maybe you should think before you do that. But other than like that sort of thing where you're like actually like ignoring the potential symbolism that a thing has, yeah, like fucking go nuts. That's how cultures work, is they are shared amongst people. How do you think you get concepts like fucking Chinatown and shit like that? Like, or Little Italy and shit like that. It's because cultures blend. That's what they do. You can't stop it. The second
it's not like we just built Chinatown and we're like, sorry, Asians. Like, they would have. I mean, they're the ones that kind of made the decision to move there. Like, they could
Yeah,
have just been
and
like, fuck you, that's offensive. But,
yeah, and once they're there and blending, then look at all the different concepts that have come out of that, like fucking pigeon English. That comes from the Chinese coming here and forming their little pockets, because then people would come to visit the areas where all the Chinese people were, and they needed to fucking be able to communicate, so they came up with the Chinese kind of like shorthand language that we call pigeon English, which is like the,
I did not
you
know that had a
you
name.
want this $5? That's pigeon English.
what?
Yep, and it's not like the bird pigeon. It's like Pidgin, I think, is how it's spelled. Don't ask me how I know this.
That's
I have a
so
lot of free
weird,
time.
because I literally grew up with that. And I never knew that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that really people think. They just think, oh, it's like fucking Chinese people trying to speak English, but there actually is a word for it. Like, it is a thing.
But I grew up in Thai restaurants, and I never knew that.
I mean, well, now you do. Now you know things.
That's crazy.
Or additional things. But you get my point, though, that, like, a culture, an entire, like, race, what it basically boils down to is race. Here's the other, and this is where it gets bullshitty. They only ever call out white people for, quote, cultural appropriation, end quote.
White devil, man.
Like, they don't give a flying fuck if, like, Jose down the street opens a Chinese restaurant. There's a fucking place here. Maybe you know about it. The Chino Bandito restaurant. That's fucking like.
Oh my god. I
like
fucking hate that place. It's so bad. Like, I think the fucking little mascot they have is hysterical, because it is a Mexican bandito panda bear. Which, like, like, my girlfriend at the time brought me there, and I was like, this is fucking hysterical. I love it. And then I tried their food, and I'm like, holy shit, this is an abomination. Asian food should not be made by Mexicans.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though, is that, like, you say that because the food was garbage. What the other social justice warriors should be saying, and they don't about it, is that they shouldn't be allowed to because they're appropriating Chinese culture. But they don't, because they're not white.
God. I forgot the name of that goddamn place. But I mean...
Well, I'm glad I could remind you.
Thanks. But, like, remember that in all those extremist groups, like, white people are the oppressors. Because, we've put everyone down, which... I mean, we have, but I've met Mexicans that fucking hate black people, white people, Irish people, Indian people. Like, some people just hate every people.
Yeah.
We are not the only oppressors, damn it.
Well, that's the other thing, too, is that, like, in the modern world, white people really aren't fucking, like, oppressing people. Like, there might be individual instances of that kind of thing. But, like, as a group, you can't really say anymore white people are oppressing all other races.
I know that, like, what was it? It's August, so 2-3 months ago, some dude, I don't remember what state it was, some dude was bashing verbally, like, these two Muslim women. And, not, like, Americanized. They're pretty fucking, like, Muslim looking. Like, in attire style. And, the guy's just bashing them. And maybe it was two guys. But, actually, no. It was one guy, and then two guys, like, stood up for them, because they were just like, dude, that's not fucking right. Leave them the fuck alone. And they both got stabbed. One died. They were both, those guys were white.
I heard about that. I remember that.
And, I mean, granted, their color had nothing to do with the story of what they did, but if you're going to argue about, white people oppressing, then shut the fuck up.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, though, is that if anything, what that should just tell you is that individuals are the ones that have issues. It's not white people. It's just people. It's individual people that have problems, and then there are other individual people who are against those people and stuff like that. Like it's not so. You can't just categorize it into all white people are racists.
You can if you go to my family reunion.
Okay, well, then I would say all the individuals in your family are racist, except you and apparently your only accidentally racist mom.
I just find it funny that, you know, at 60 years old, you just don't know the terms to not use. Like, I, like, she was born in, I think, 55. You have to have heard the term, and I'm not using it racially, but the term jigaboo. And to think R&B is actually called jigaboo music is it's breathtaking, because it's like, really? You thought that was okay?
I mean, in that case, you can just chalk it up to ignorance, but that's not the same thing as racism, you know?
Exactly, that's why she's accidentally racist. Or referring to black people as blacks, which black people isn't too far from the term blacks, but blacks just sounds so mean.
I think because probably what it is that saying blacks versus black people, because black people are black people, you know, whatever. But blacks, to say the blacks, is that phrasing, that particular usage of it that way, comes from like the civil rights era, back when, like, you know, they were actually fighting against real oppression and racism.
I mean, I guess it's better than her term when she was like, what do I call them? The other ones?
The others? Wasn't it the others that she said?
It was the others and the other ones, and it's like, oh
the
my
other
fucking
ones.
god.
Jesus Christ.
How to make it sound so much worse. Don't be racist, kids. Even if you don't mean it.